A self-empowered woman has integration of the brain and or is at the very least emotionally aware, accountable, self-regulating, and so moves towards more consciousness. So I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. I'm a functional adult and I'm attachment trauma informed. I'm woo-woo pseudoscience lady because I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together, but also because woo-woo why? Science is people that I get to learn from. They call mystics woo-woo, and I'm not offended because a 5D mystic has no cross to bear. It's very disrespectful, egoic, and those are all people on else's journey. They don't have the integration of the brain. No, they have pseudo-aliveness. I've seen it more than once, and we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how it's not a trust issue when men betray, discard, ghost. It's a sign that they do not love and they are not it. Okay, so there's also no saga with twin flame or flames for a 5D mystic. Again, integration of the brain is very important for me to share. I got lucky. I have secure attachment in my body, and I'm a differentiated 3-year-old whole heart, 1-year-old, because my mother and my twin, my environment, completely safe. It's not a gift. It's not a race. It's not some special superpower. It's that my environment determined that I would be able to be here today with you to share what love actually is in a healthy self-worth manner. I am not superior, inferior, and Jesus accompanies me on this journey. So does God, but out of respect for 3D and 4D, I don't use that word. I use Akash, and channeling is really fun, and not in a way of, oh, let me use my imagination for a movie. No, but if somebody treats my downloads like a movie, I totally get it, because that has happened. I know my future husband, and anytime I've shared that, you're like, what do you mean? Now? No, not now. I'm not getting married in this lifetime. Future lifetime. And then they laugh. So I laugh with them because that's exactly the point. A 5D mystic knows, of course, I can't prove anything. What do you think? I'm not trying to. Okay? So what happens when we have betrayal, discard, ghosting? Really, I don't use those words. When I heard the word ghosting, I laughed my ass off. I was like, what the fuck? They're making up a word for it? I didn't even know people would use words to each other like that. Like, you're a covert narcissist. I've heard women arguing on the phone with people, calling each other names. I'm thinking, well, if you think they are that, don't you want to go to therapy? Because if I'm with you and I'm like, your mannerisms are totally not going to work out. I mean, we need to go do something. Or I don't know, like, I'm going to address it. Betrayal, that's another one I laugh at. My teenage boyfriend got me to know how hard it is for men to tell you the truth, but really it's not about the men, because women friends also. Oh yeah, that one's funny. So discard, that's another funny one. If you have healthy self-worth, you laugh here. It's like, no shame, no shame. I have a twin, like I said, I'm different. It's not a defect. It's, oh, you're imperfect. Did you think you'd be perfect? I didn't know about that, but it's here that I'm feeling it. Okay, so let me be clear. You need a window welcome for emotions. That's what the 5D Collective and IHP is all about. So come on over if you do want to do personal development. I don't want to. If you want to complain like all the other people do, go for it. And let's not support, please, people who say, come do the tarot reading and shamanic ritual and Akashic record reading and heal your... No, no. No, I'm a Reiki practitioner. You heal your inner child with a good therapist or a good psychoeducational informational bank, and then you understand the journey ahead, which is every time shame comes up, you don't press it back down and do the maladaptive child behavior self-soothing mechanisms. You take it and say, oh, look, my window of tolerance. Am I doing okay? Am I too stressed out today? So you have a conversation. Okay, we're going to get to this. So a true life partner is a human being, man, woman, they be, that knows how to say, my inner child is here. They need to have self-awareness, and they have to choose it. So when I see attachment wounded human beings and antisocial personality diagnosed human beings going on our lovely YouTube and sharing their intel, or when I see the therapists who are not completely healed from their own childhood, okay, so I thought we need to give self-empowered women and actually securely attached human beings a voice so that they can know how easy it is for some of us to love and know there's no laundry here. So enlightenment soul age group people, come on over, because seriously, Zen masters who tell you that you cannot be enlightened, what the fuck? Like, wow. Okay, so back to our topic. It is not an issue when men betray, because trust issue. Why? Because trust is all about, thank you Daniel Siegel, integration of the brain. So when you learn about being a human, and I did because I do support personal development for you to be you. And people said, well, why would they need you? Well, because I know how to walk them with the inner growth mindset, and because mindset is everything. All of it. All of it, all of it, all of it. You don't believe it, you're not on the right place. If you think that this is the only thing, well, you haven't read the lady's book about how the brain keeps the count, or the mind, however she puts it, and the body keeps the score. So it's a friend. It's a divine feminine with the divine masculine. Okay, so on that note, presence, being present, means that I'm going to part. These are Daniel Siegel's acronyms of when you have consciousness. It's a flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brain. So my brain is that, my left and right mode, they work together. My verbal, my right is my nonverbal, and where you deal with unknowns, uncertainties, and all that great stuff, and you allow A and B and C and D to be there. So when I get interrupted by somebody, no, you're mistaking spirituality and sciences. And I say, no, I'm not. I'm actually bringing them together. And then you say, no. Let me repeat myself. Now I know I have Cusco in town. And what I got is an adaptive child. That's a maladaptive child who's a teenager. I ain't no teenager, and I'm a 3-year-old who can share the floor. And really what it is I don't want to waste my breath. Because now I know that you're not here to have fun with me and build a snowman. You're here to prove you're right, which I don't give a shit about, because I'm not trying to prove I'm right. I'm just having a conversation and you interrupted me. So it's not about trust. You're not attuning to me, but I'm attuning to you, and your 3-year-old doesn't want to share the floor, and I know your 3-year-old is a 3-year-old brokenhearted. There's going to be a teenager attitude the minute I start to say something. I learned all this as a teenager. And be jealousy, it's laughable, like I just did. You're cowards. And I don't mean it disrespectfully. Cowardice, thank you, Patrick Tehan, emotional non-lifters. I don't want to do personal development, but take therapy seriously. Take it all seriously, shall you? So that we can stop seeing soap operas on screen. And, you know, what's hilarious is women and men who look like so fancy, and I'm like, wow. They're all like grown-up teenage versions of themselves. And I think of all the drama queens and kings that I met, and then I'm like, and they think they're badass. Where's the badass? I don't see no badass. You know badass when you meet it, by the way. It's a self-empowered man. It ain't no inner child. Let me out. Let me out. Which that's how it feels to me, because I'm a divine feminine. So anytime I'm in front of somebody with their threat response, I'm like, you need to get away from me. I am feeling that tiger over and over, and you're pouncing and you're ruminating, and you want to tell me that I don't know what light. No. So long story short, I get really passionate. So this dude, and I have more than just one dude who comes in and wants to interrupt me and talk down and all this other crap. Yeah. Teenagers, they are not in any way, shape, or form loving, because they don't know that their poor body is suffering. I do, and they're not an energy vampire, because they ain't sucking the fucking energy out of me. It's that I'm a nervous system, and so are they. So I need to learn, thank you, Daniel, to differentiate, Maria, and say, okay, my nervous system wasn't upset. That's their nervous system. It's cool. They aren't it. They definitely don't know how to have fun in life or build a snowman, and they just want to be right. Yes, please tell me everything. Yes, okay. I will speak to you later. Later, alligator. Okay, so the ghosting thing is hilarious, because I won't think that you're ghosting me, because I have nothing to say about myself. I'm perfect just the way I am with my imperfections. Discard? Not really. I'm not a piece of trash. Betrayal, again. You're going to show me you don't know how to tell me the truth. I'm going to say that what I have in front of me is a person who engages in what they think is risky behavior. No, they're not thinking. This is safety behavior. It's called I'm reactive without even stopping to pause and reflect. What am I doing? Am I doing something I want to do? So yeah, your trauma doesn't have to define you, but men that don't want to get trauma informed and take it seriously, they don't care to let their inner child come out and play. Okay, so a woman who's self-empowered will know that, as a man who's self-empowered will also know that he doesn't have to put up with anything. Oh, yes, so resonance. So presence, attunement, resonance, trust. When you trust, it's because you're intimate with yourself, and then you're intimate with another, inner child. And presence is happening when you are online with your prefrontal cortex. I'm curious, open, accepting, and loving, like when I got interrupted and get interrupted by teenagers, and when I get egoically smart-ass human beings all the time. I learned as a teenager, one, how not to take it personally, because I questioned. They're right, I am taking it personally. What's happening when I take it personally? My heart is here. What happens when they betray me and they lie in my face and they cheat and my heart breaks? Does it really break though, Maria? No, actually it doesn't. It's a muscle. Don't you notice you're feeling still good tomorrow? I actually am. What's working with you, Maria? Let me think. Is this some genius power, people? Because serious, it's not a genius power. My brain is working. So when somebody tells me they're smart, I learned as a teenager to shut my brain off, because the minute you're like a fly on a wall in drama land, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're literally getting all of it. And I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing? It's one human being, and now you're a drama queen or king. And I do know I have a boyfriend, but still, I mean, so long story short, from a teenager to a grown up, solo polyamory life is not because we're emotionless or or because we don't have people. It's because relationship anarchy is the point. I meet all these beautiful human beings. And you think I'm going to pick one of them? No. And plus, there's not a hierarchy. So also, I'm a 5D mystic. I know my twin flames, and I know my soulmates. And those special bonds, like the Rumi quote goes, those of us who love from our heart, we don't love from our eyes. So even if you're not in front of me, I love you and I'm connected to you. And what is beautiful is when you meet self-empowered women and men who definitely know how to love, and so they are it, and they know how to stick around because they don't ghost you, because they tell you how they communicate. They don't discard people because they're beyond solo self. So they're like, you're a herd member of mine. Whether you're Sid, Diego, or Manny, I'm going to treat you like a pacha, okay? They don't betray because they have balls and vaginas. So this is where cowardice is when a person has a teenager in the room and they have an attitude. So really, it's not a coward in a mean way. It's a person who needs a good therapist. They don't want to. So it's not a trust issue when men betray. It's that they don't know how to love themselves first. And we'll notice it because they are not it, because they don't know how to have an intimate conversation with me. And so that's where the trust issue, of course, as a teenager, you would hear me talking about this differently, but the cowardice part was actually quite set in stone. I got more compassionate and understanding as I grew up about how hard it is for people to move out of human suffering. Now I'm attachment trauma informed, and I'm like, well, it's all about emotional lifting and learning this. No, I don't want to do it. Really? You want to suffer? No. It's life that sucks. It's the system that sucks. Everything else sucks. It's the men, it's the women that's okay, teenagers, sure. You know what happens when you get educated because you care? Number 4 is the actual recent studies show that there's the 4th step that people who have trauma want to recover. First is to witness your own self, by the way, the trauma charge. So your 3-year-old come up, process it. It means, oh look, it comes from me. Oh look, did I as my, and so this is the important part, which is why therapy is important, which people want to disregard, and journaling, why they don't understand what it means to embody, to process the emotion that arises and not shove it back fucking down and then go get distracted. I don't want to do it. I'm going to do my karma wheel. Okay, you can live your karma. It's not a bad thing. But the point is, it comes up. You chit chat, you shut it up for a minute, you allow yourself to pause because you don't want to do structural dissociation. Otherwise, you're just re-traumatizing yourself. So, an emotion came up, let me talk, let me write down sensations, images, affects, behavior, meaning. Again, you do personal development or good therapy, you figure out why processing is important. You see it, you welcome the moment, it's emotional, you even give yourself a hug. That way you can activate your ventral vagal nervous system. You resource, it's called resourcing. Okay, and by the way, any type of, reflective activity can bring up trauma, which is why people seriously need to learn more about this stuff, which is why I'm talking about it. Long story short, after processing it, you allow yourself to dissolve it, and now they found that people want bystanders. They don't even want the people who brought the trauma to ask, I'm sorry. No, they want bystanders to take their side, which I've been seeing again, teenage life. I'm not taking your side because I'm not here to take a side. I'm here to support you. But the minute you begin to say they don't deserve love or I want to die, I'm not going to support that. I'm going to say, okay, they deserve love. You wanting to give up life for somebody, I'm going to say, do you want me to use the word stupid? As a teenager, I did. As a grown-up, I learned how not to say anything, because the minute that you let me know that life sucks and the devil's won and the evil's won, yeah, no, you're just making up a teenager excuse, which is you and that high risky maladaptive behavior of yours with your nervous system all out of whack, and you're choosing to ruminate at night and or during the day and to do this. And I'm not going to take your side. I'm going to not say anything at all. necessarily. I might say something, and usually I have. Always. I learned that you can share education with any person. In fact, it's not education that empowers people necessarily. It's because they're hearing you, not this. They're shutting up and they're noticing this. They shut both and they say, you know what, I might not like what this human being is telling me or what I'm learning about, but I'm going to be smart. I'm going to do research. I'm going to discern. I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to learn about things. And when some belief system human being says yoga brings demons out of you or Reiki is not good, whatever it is, like any kind of blanket statement. Okay, so I get really passionate again about ignorance. Betrayal. If you lie to me, you're the coward, not the other way around. Discard. You can't discard a person who's empowered because that's a bullshit word. Ghosting, seriously, it's laughable. And whenever you tell this to any people who are basically not empowered, no, Maria, they need to learn. Who needs to learn what? You're not using the words correctly in the first place, because if you were, you'd be going to a therapist and know how healthy boundaries are a conversation, not an emotional reactivity of your teenager looking for bystanders, come take my side, and there you go. So, love. It's easy. It's you stick around, I stick around, and we don't pout like kids about it. And actually, the beauty about being empowered, we don't need some middle human being speaking for us. Because it's called I Have Balls and Vagina, because I understand education information. It's 2024. I do know we've only had this stuff for about, 10 years, I think, is the accumulated data. I was a teenager when my teenage boyfriend cheated on me. The first time he told me. The second time he did it in front of all my friends. None of them told me, except for one person. I was told they told me because they liked me. I didn't give a shit if it were true or not. I went ahead and said to all my friends, no, I went to ask the people that I considered the ones who would have my so-called back. They all gave me the same excuse, and fear is the excuse that every single person to this day, I don't try, because if you're afraid of me, I'm 4'9". That's laughable. If you're intimidated by me, again, I'm laughing inside, and then I'm thinking, shit, if it's a man, I need to shut up, because otherwise, who knows how this could go, And then I'm thinking that this is where, when the women want to come to me and make a big deal out of this, why aren't you doing better with your restorative embodiment? Because I've had women come to me with red flags. I've said, hey, this is a red flag. No, it's not. Okay. And then they come back to me for tarot and a lot more. And here's where I'm like, okay, now what am I going to come up? Okay, how am I going? You should look up trauma bonding. Since you're using the whole covert narcissist, you might want to use that. Your guidance is to leave and drop this shit. No, you don't want to. You come, oh, no, it did exactly. So a teenager doesn't hear what you're telling them. They only hear however it is they want to. Oh, which is explainable. Stephen Porges, thank you so much. Maladaptive children are in their safety behavior. Chat, 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 chat. So they're talking over you while you're talking. They've already made up their story. They know everything. And yeah, again, no drama here, because drama requires you to be in your sympathetic nervous system. I'm in my prefrontal cortex, and usually I'm taking in what you're saying, and I'll notice by the second time if you heard me or not. At a certain point, you're a pattern of your 0-1 to 8-year-old self. So man, woman, they, whoever it is, it's not betrayal or trust, because I'm going to see exactly who you are, because you're building a very specific data point list of how you roll with life, and it's your karma. And your story will be known to me. And, again, the discard ghosting thing, it's hilarious to me personally that people want to learn how to handle. No, this is where it's at. Either you're going to be emotionally available or not. And handling is not a solo journey. That's why you have good therapists, because it's very serious business. If a person has an inner child, let me out, and they're not actively able to get out of their dysfunctional, dysregulated pattern. You present it to them, like I do all the time. Besides here where we talk about it, I present when I see something, however I can, not by making it a diagnosis. Those are martyrs superiors, and that's not my role, and I don't actually think that way. When you're present with people, you're curious, you're open, you're accepting, you're loving. If I'm empowered with education, I'm sharing with you data points because I can, not because I want to tell you how to live your life, okay? And that's the other part. When you got a teenager in the room, they're going to come back at you. So you think I'm fucked up? No, I did not use that word. Or, yeah, it's bullshit. Or, I can't do it. Okay, so drama, queens and kings and days never change their story. Which is why, in fact, the younger charge part of every person, if you don't get therapy, is going to be your 16-year-old who's spiting the grown-ups deciding they know everything, and they're not trying to have an exchange. So there's no intimacy. That's why there's no trust issue. It's, I'm going to learn your teenage attitude. You're going to be a teenager, which is a grown up. I'm going to be a person who's emotionally available, and I'm not going to be hanging around somebody for long that has trust issues. They're the ones with trust issues because they don't have intimacy and they don't recognize what they're doing, and they're not recognizing it because they're not choosing to be self-aware, and a lot more. But we'll be back with another episode. In the meantime, like I said, men, women, theys, if you're emotionally available to yourself, you won't use words the way that we see, the trending topics do, because you're a human and then you understand that other people have shit go down. So it's more of a conversation, and we're going to keep talking about it. Come on over for 5D relationships, for personal development, being yourself, being empowered for real, not pretend. 5D mystics, come on over. There's no saga with your twin flames, or you don't need to uncover any mission. If you get your inner child to come out and play, that means you're going to be emotionally available. This is a very big deal to some people, how to get here. To me, it wasn't, because I didn't lose my inner child. I'm presence, I'm consciousness, all these beautiful words, they mean something. I embody it. I explain to enlightenment the human way. It's AKA your restorative embodiment, your integration of the brain. It's your inner child who's you're the grown-up. You're emotionally a grown-up. The emotions are what stay charged. The chit-chatter is what you work with if you have inner critic and outer critic, and you don't suppress with the fucking drugging, drinking, distraction. You allow yourself to grow intimate here. Trauma is relational. Intimacy is the core. Thank you to your real intimacy first here, but if you don't share your heart with me, you're not going to heal. The fourth step of this trauma recovery, they want bystanders to take their side. This is where it's a teenager, the 1-year-old who's wanting to attach. I'm going to say the best version is a person who knows, wow, I'm processing something that comes from my childhood, and I have a safe haven, secure base human being, means a healthy self-worth person. That's what life partnership, by the way, is about. That's what any partnership is about. And it's beautiful when you meet self-empowered women and men, because that's exactly what we do together. We get to be our inner child, and then we get to share that nervous system regulation and so on and so forth. So we'll be back again with more. Tune in, subscribe, and remember, Ask Maria on the audio version podcast. And once we get to 1K, they'll be here. It's paid subscription. Have a great one.